What's up, it's Gene, your coach and motivated impact storyteller. This is Gene's Motivation. I want to take the time out to talk to you guys who have been laid off of your jobs. I totally feel your pain. I've been in that situation. I know you just got hit with this Mack truck of surprise. You know, you probably was doing everything on your job you're supposed to do, coming on time, doing everything you could for that job. You love the corporation. You just put your heart and soul into it. And now right now you shocked. You don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? And at this point, you're probably angry, you sad, you depressed, you doubting your future, all of that. And to be honest with you, this is a cycle of what you feel like when you get laid off. And a lot of people cannot relate to that unless it happened to them. You see, as I'm going through YouTube and I see all these videos of people talking about their layoff, it reminds me in 2010 when it happened to me. You see, I graduated from college with my master's degree in 2008 in the 2009 school year, and that was right in the midst of the housing crash. You know, when I got out, I said to myself, you know, I got a master's degree. There's no chance of me being laid off. And I had took a job at a corporation that I loved. I was doing way more work than I was getting paid for. I was at work on time. I was doing everything I was supposed to do. And because I was having success in the position I was in, I decided I was going to apply for a management position. Now, during that same time frame, my car that I was driving at the time had broke down. So I went and got me a new car, and it was the first time I was going to have a car note. But I thought to myself, you know, I'm going to get this management position. I'll be able to afford this car. It's all good. Everything is going to go up from here, right? So right after I applied for that management position, it was like several days later, I was about to clock out, and one of the executives of the organization that I was working for came to the exercise clinic that I was in charge of, and she had the other person that applied for the management position as well. Now, in my mind, I thought to myself, see, since myself and her were doing good in our respective clinics, they was probably going to give both of us a management position because both of us had been there for like 3.5 years, right? So when I'm sitting at the computer and you know, the executive asked me to sit down, and the other lady was with her. We all sat down. She said, Gene, I want you to sign this. And she handed me this paper that said severance agreement. Now, I had never heard of a severance agreement before. This is not something we ever talked about in college. I had no idea what it was. So I said, why you want me to sign this? What is this? She said, go ahead and sign it, and then we'll discuss the reason for this, right? So I told her, I'm not about to sign this agreement. I don't know what this is. I'm not going to sign it. And I chose not to sign it. And she said, well, let me tell you why we're here. I have to inform you that at the end of this week, you will no longer be employed with this organization because we are having a financial situation and we're not able to continue to pay your salary, is what she told me. I said, oh, really? She said, so now in my mind, I'm like, okay, this must be a dream or joke or something. Maybe she's saying this, I'm about to get the management position. That's what I'm thinking. So she said, no, so I want you to sign the severance agreement. We are agreeing to pay you a week's pay, but at the end of the week, you will be relieved of all your duties here. You're being laid off. It's you and there's a couple other people we have to do this with. I really don't want to do this, but this is the final decision. So I decided not to sign the severance agreement. And she said, I'll come back tomorrow to discuss this with you so you can sign the severance agreement. And I went home that night. I couldn't sleep. I stayed up all night reading about severance agreement, what it meant for the employee, the employer. I mean, I went to like lawyer mode for myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a lawyer, but I felt like one. And so the next day she came in with that piece of paper. She said, are you ready to sign it? I said, I'm not signing that. She said, okay, but after Friday, you no longer need to show up again. So when that Friday was up, when that Friday came, you know, I packed my stuff, went home, you know, finished up, I had a bunch of, I was rehabbing a bunch of patients and stuff like that. I had to explain to them throughout the week that this would be my last week. A lot of them was sad. A lot of them was angry. They felt like I felt. And I got home that night and I just broke down crying. I was like, man, what in the world is going on? What I'm going to do? How I'm going to pay my bills? What is my future going to look like? I mean, and one thing I would say to you guys out there, because I don't want you to make the mistake that I made, is instead of me taking the time to grieve and accept the fact that I was laid off, I automatically just went into my feelings. I mean, I became extremely angry. I started thinking about all the time I lost, how much I did for this organization. I felt rejected. I felt unappreciated. So I sat down and I literally wrote almost 100-page document on why this organization, I need to sue this organization for firing me for no reason. I mean, it was crazy. Then I went down to one of the government agencies and I tried to sue them, right? And I remember the lady was like, you're disgruntled. You're disgruntled. There's nothing for you to sue. This is just the result of you in a right to work state. They don't have to give you an explanation on why they letting you go, but they just did. At least they came and told you face to face. They laid you off and they offered you a severance, which is a week pay. That's your discrepancy if you wanted to sign it or not. And I told her I did. She said, well, you could just go file your unemployment. But the most important thing is you need to take the time to grieve and accept the fact that you've been laid off. So I know this is hard for a lot of you guys out there. Let yourself grieve. If you have to take a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever it is, and accept the fact that you've been laid off. That's the first thing I want to encourage you to do. Now, the second thing is do not define yourself by the layoff. Do not get to the point you say, I've been laid off because I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not a good employee, because your mind will start playing tricks with you, especially when you're at home every day and you're not going to be showing up to that job. You don't have a job right now. You're frustrated. You're filled with sadness. You're crying. You're probably not eating like I was. And you're too embarrassed to probably even tell anybody. You may not want to go around your friends, your family, and that's fine. As long as you're going through the grieving process and you're not defining yourself by the layoff. Now, I will encourage you to do this if you can. Give yourself a deadline when you're going to stop grieving, because if you don't, you will find yourself doing it for months and months and months. You will not be, you get so far caught up in depression, you might get to the point you don't even want to even try to get back out there in the market. So give yourself a day where you're going to cut it off if that's possible. That's up to you. That's possible that you're going to move forward with your life and look for better opportunities. Which leads me to the third thing, man. Go ahead and polish off your resume and seek other opportunities. Start moving forward with your life. If you have to, tell your friends, tell your family that you got laid off. Let them know the situation. You don't want to go through this alone, because if you get to the point that you allow this to linger, those feelings, and you're doing it alone, it can probably lead to a worse depression or something worse. So go ahead and tell people that you trust, get them to try to help you to find other opportunities. But the most important thing is you don't define yourself and you start moving forward. So I just want to give these words of encouragement, because I know when I was laid off for them 7 months, I did 44 temp jobs, cleaning trash, giving out food samples, did everything I could. I kept myself active so I didn't fall into a deeper depression. And what eventually happened is I did get another opportunity. And the same thing will happen with you. So get out there, find other little temp jobs if you need to, temp organizations, apply for other jobs, get your resume up once you're ready to. But make sure, number one, you go through the grieving process, you accept the fact you've been laid off. Number two, make sure you do not define yourself by that layoff. And number three, polish off your resume, get on back out there and move forward with your life. I promise you this will get better. You will have a better season in your life. But right now, you're just going through a layoff. It's devastating. It hurts. It's painful. I understand it. You're humiliated. You feel like there's no future for you. But I guarantee you there is a future for you. So go on out there when you're ready to. Go for other opportunities. And always remember, you are worthy to be great.